insignificant, amount of MDs that are covered annually. Again, when we now talk about the timeliness of the report of the Auditor General, the 2019 report of the Auditor General took about 23 months after the end of the financial year. 23 months. The best practice is that the report of the Auditor General should be out in public domain not more than 18 months after the end of the financial year. But the 2019 report took 23 months. And the report of the Auditor General for 2020 has taken more than 34 months already. And we still don't have it. 34 months already. And we're not even talking about the report of the Auditor General for 2021 and 2022. Also, even when you look at the report of the Auditor General itself, there's a question on the audit approach. And we're engaging with the Office of the Auditor General and kindly requesting that more performance auditing be employed so that we can really look at efficiency, effectiveness, and economy of public spending of MDs, and not just the regular financial audit. And I know that the Auditor General has conducted several performance audits, but it's not enough. We need more performance audit to be out. And that's how we can really measure whether public spending are actually delivering results. But then we see a ray of hope in the 10th Assembly. I mean, we were very, very delighted when we saw just last week the accelerated passage of the audit service bill. We were very, very delighted. And I want you to put your hands together for the 10th Assembly. And I want to use this opportunity to plead with the Speaker this morning, who is represented by the Deputy Speaker. We cannot even help the Office of the Auditor General. All of the demands that we are making now, whether around the timeliness of audit report or the need to conduct more performance audits, we can't even begin to make those demands of them if they don't have the legal instruments with which they function effectively. We have no doubt, and I'm speaking on behalf of the 120 civil society organizations this morning, including Budget Foundation, Accountability Lab, Step Up Nigeria, Social, Sarah, PPDC, all of the credible civil society organizations that you can look out for in Nigeria, and standing here and speaking on their behalf. So those are the hopes that we see, and we expect that the Senate will also follow suit, and this bill be transmitted to Mr. President for our Senate. We also see a ray of hope, in the open door policy of the Public Accounts Committee. We have engaged with the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Reps, and we see how open that committee is. And we expect that the committee will continue to be open to us as civil society and media actors so that we can do our work more responsibly. Also, the engagement approach of the committee is really inspiring. Finally, let me say that as civil society organizations, we are making investments in the ecosystem. We will continue to make investments in the ecosystem. And just this morning, one of our partners has just commenced a public audit media fellowship. A public audit media fellowship is the very first of its kind in Nigeria, training investigative journalists to be able to interact with the auditing ecosystem. We'll continue to do that and do more and provide the needed support to the Parliament. Thank you very much, and thank you for having us.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Olusegun Elemo, representing CSCAN here, the Civil Society Coalition of Nigeria. I'm sure that all the things you've said there has been noted. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite, let me very warmly welcome Mr. Olusanya Olufemi, Director, Head of Department Public Accounts Committee. Please give him a round of applause as I very warmly welcome the man of the moment, the man whose responsibility it is to ensure that all the things that everybody has said here and all the encomiums that has been poured on his committee stand the test of time. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Chairman, House Committee on Public Accounts, Representative Bamidele Sanam, is invited to present the strategic plan of the PAC for 2023-2027. A round of applause for him, please.
Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, ably represented by the Deputy Speaker, Your Excellencies, the Deputy Majority Leader, Deputy Minority Leader, and the Deputy Minority Whip of the House of Representatives, my leaders and honorable colleagues who are members of the Public Accounts Committee, the honorable ministers here represented, the Accountant General of the Federation, the Acting Director General, and all other protocols duly observed. I want to seize this moment once again to welcome us all to the unveiling of the Public Accounts Committee of the 10th Assembly. I have a short presentation. I will try to make it as short as possible, and that's why I requested that they should dim the light up here so that I can quickly run through them. Your Excellency, we're here today because we believe very strongly that you have given us a very important assignment. And an assignment like this, we must have a roadmap. We must have what we're looking at. And we're taking off from the charge of the Speaker of the House of Representatives himself, the Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas, who said on the 26th of September, on the resumption of the House, and I quote, he said government had been fully formed with the inauguration of Minister by Mr. President, while committees have been constituted in the two chambers of the National Assembly. And quoting Mr. Speaker, he said, we have no time to spend in delivering results to our people. Committees must actively engage NDAs to ensure public service delivery in accordance with resolutions passed by the National Assembly. He further charged that in the discharge of this assignment, we must be guided by established legislative ethics and standard orders of the House. Mr. Speaker is also lucky to have a team of very, very competent legislators. And of course, the man who is representing him today, our Deputy Speaker, we all know, is a very cerebral, very proactive, and very, very impacting legislator. And by the grace of God, he's standing here today as the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. We have a slide which gives us information on the leadership of the House, right from the Majority Leader, his Deputy, to the Minority Leadership. Mr. Speaker, the Accountant General of the Federation made reference to the composition of the Public Account Committee. And a few other speakers have also mentioned same. And I want to use this opportunity to thank you for the due diligence that was employed in the composition of this committee. Now, the House has a membership of 360, and there is none of those 360 who is not competent in his or her own field. But because this is a committee that has constitutionally, or by practice, one member per state of the Federation, which means we must have a minimum of 36 members. And in the tradition of the leadership of the House, due diligence has been employed in making sure that we have quite a whole assemblage of persons with requisite qualifications, expertise, and interest. my humble self serving as the chairman, my dear brother, the ACA. But I am telling to put FCA, because you always put ACA on his own. No? The chartered accountant who is the deputy chairman, up to every other person. Our friend Honorable Bomago had just left now because she had another meeting to attend to. And of course, our leader, the only one who has the white beard in this hall, the deputy chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, one of the most ranking members of this institution. We have quite a number of members, like I've said, accountants, public sector, governance persons, pharmacists, engineers, technologists. We have a number of legal practitioners as members of the committee. We have members from the real estate and media consultancy. We have members who are into marketing and public administration. We have members who are mathematicians, and of course we have quite a number of bankers in this 10th Assembly Committee of the Public Account. Of course we have engineers. We have persons who, if you bring any bill of quantity in that field, can help us look at it with the eagle eye that they are trained with. We have people who are economists, quite a number of them in this committee, and quite a whole lot of other professionals. And the purpose, I believe, is to ensure that we bring in the varieties of this expertise in the consideration of issues that will be coming before the Public Account Committee of the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, we have just held one meeting, and I want to assure you that the meeting we held has shown that members are really, really ready to hit the ground running and to ensure that the confidence reposed in us by the leadership of the House and by extension the Nigerian public is well justified. And so because of that, we decided to also set for ourselves, before I go on, I also want to recognize that we have the Secretariat headed by Mr. Femi Titus Ogusoya, who is the Director of Public Accounts Department, as well as the two Deputy Directors, leading a retinue of very, very experienced technocrats to service the committee. The vision. Now, the vision we have couched is to significantly improve on the delivery of the mandate of the Public Accounts Committee as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution, the standing orders of the House, as well as legislative practices and conventions. The key word here is improvement. We acknowledge the work done by all the previous leadership and members of the Public Accounts Committee of the House up till the 9th Assembly. But the purpose we have set for ourselves, according to the charge of the Speaker, is to ensure that we'll improve on every area of the operations of the committee, and that forms the kernel of this vision. The mission is to ensure that ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government utilize public funds in a lawful, prudent, transparent, and accountable manner for the good of the Nigerian people. Because whatever assignment we have, whether as political leaders or public servants or civil servants, has only one goal, and that is the goal of service delivery to the shareholders, or let me call them directors of Nigeria, and that is the average man or woman in this very blessed country of ours. Core values: transparency, independence, fairness, stewardship, collaboration, and public interest. Let me quickly speak on the issue of collaboration. We have come to realize that in the work that we do as members of parliament, there is a lot of misunderstanding of several things that happen. And part of the reasons why there is that misunderstanding, that there is a gap, as it were, between us and some critical stakeholders in the work we do. And we have decided that in this assembly, we are going to make sure that as much as possible, we bridge those gaps. And I thank God that the man who came to speak on behalf of the Civil Society Coalition made a reference to that, because we believe that in that collaboration, we are going to be, getting better at what we're doing, and we're going to be able to get the right kind of information at the right time to the public so that they can appreciate the work of the National Assembly even better. Our strategic goals, Mr. Speaker, first is to develop our own capacity through regular trainings, study exchanges, and peer review mechanisms. The Public Account Committee is a committee that is replicated in every parliament of the world. And I go online to read about the Public Account Committee activities in India, in the United Kingdom, in Canada, in Ghana, in every part of the world. We believe very strongly that we have a lot to leverage on in terms of experience and activities. And we also believe, and that is why this unveiling of the Public Account Committee of the General Assembly is coming with a strategic leadership training to ensure that we are well equipped for the task ahead by having the right kind of information, the right kind of education, if I may say, to kick off and keep on being productive in the course of our assignment. Number two, we also committed to timely and comprehensive consideration of the audited financial statements and report. I'll come to that later. Again, we enhance our own capability to carry out oversight on all the critical areas that we need to oversight as a committee. We want to foster international and domestic collaborations. We also want to ensure that we actively engage stakeholders to ensure transparency and accountability in our operations. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we set out part of our strategic goal what we call a complete cycle of activities. A few days ago, we had our first meeting and we invited the former clerk of the House of Representatives, who was one time the clerk of the Public Account Committee for 10 years. And one of the challenges he identified is the fact that for almost 25 years, I think that was what he said, it's been difficult to have the outcome of our consideration of reports in terms of resolutions in plenary. With the cooperation of the leadership of the House, we want to ensure that one, we have our investigations, hearings and oversight. We move on to the submission of our report for the consideration of plenary. We have the consideration of the report and resolution of the House. And perhaps most importantly, we also follow up on the implementation of those resolutions. When there are no consequences for wrongdoing, we set a template for continuation of that. If anyone has come to infringe on the procurement, the Appropriation Act, for example, there should be consequences. The financial regulations have consequences set out for each breach, each violation. And even if it is just 20-30% of those violations that are dealt with, I'm sure that our quest as a country for probity and our quest to ensure that there is less impunity in the management of public resources will be achieved. So we are committed to ensure that we have this full circle of our activities to justify for the time that this committee will be putting into the work that we're having. Part of our agenda, Mr. Speaker, includes to digitalize the Public Account Committee meetings, oversight documentation and reporting system in a manner that will ensure that we have less of paperwork. We recognize the challenges that comes with this, but all the same, we have to transit. Because at times when you tell MDAs to bring documents, they come in Ghana must do. Imagine one particular agency coming with 30 bags of paperwork, and expecting that to be able to do a thorough work. Now, with the benefit of technology and with the approval of Mr. Speaker, we've been able to get some assurances of support to get our committee rooms and hearing rooms fitted with devices that will make us work smarter and faster and ensure that members and the staff of the committee can do a lot of things in a more efficient manner. Secondly, we also have set for ourselves and the Auditor General of the Federation, I thought we make reference to this in his goodwill message, to liaise with the executive to facilitate the appointment of the substantive Auditor General of the Federation. We have had him serving in the capacity of director overseeing the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation for more than 1 year. Almost 1 year. More than 1 year. Okay, and that has negatively impacted on the work of that office and of course on the work of the Public Account Committee, because it is the material we have from that office that serves as the raw material for the work of this committee. And I want to be urging His Excellency the Speaker to please help us take up this matter with the Office of the President, who has the powers by the provision of the Constitution to make that appointment. We are also committed to ensure that we have a complete and transparent consideration of the 2019 to 2025 report. Now, at the moment what we have is 2019. And I believe strongly that as soon as we have an appointment of an official of the Federation, it should not be difficult for us to have the 2020 and 2021 report, at least to start with. And we hope that in the course of this 10th Assembly, we'll be able to get to 2025 with the cooperation of Madam Accountant General and the Auditor General of the Federation. The next item has to do with the issue of the passing of the audit bill into law, which has been referred to by the Auditor General and the civil society. It is a very important piece of legislation which seeks to repeal the audit ordinance of 1956. So all we work with now is that we are still living in 1956 audit-wise in Nigeria. And let me also use the opportunity to thank Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Speaker. The moment the committee gave a brief on this matter, gave an express instruction that it be listed with the cooperation of the Chairman of the Rules and Business, and it was listed and passed by the House just last week. Please put your hands together. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this. After the report of the Public Account Committee is considered by plenary, there is a best global practice that happens in most parts of the world, because the indictment that probably will come out of this report is there are infractions committed by the executive. Now, so where do you take the report for implementation? If you want to report the executive to the executive, you will go nowhere. And one of the best global practices is that there is an implementation tribunal of the Public Account Committee. Again, I must also thank the Deputy Speaker who has prepared the bill, and that bill has passed through the first reading of the Public Account Implementation Tribunal bill. And we are hoping that in the lifespan of this 10th Assembly of the PAC, we are going to get that bill also into law. And of course, that also has to do with the issue of proper follow-up. The next item, which is the follow-up of those House resolutions. Number 7, we are committed, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we have value for money. And I'm happy that I think it was the civil society that mentioned this matter on performance audits. Now, it matters a lot. There's no point in just appropriating money and saying the money has been spent and then we're looking at the books. How much of impact have this spending made on the life of the people? So we're going to be doing a lot of performance post-audit, if you wanted to put it that way, from the Public Account Committee to ensure that we have oversight, to ensure that we indeed have value for money for the spendings that the National Assembly approves for all the MDAs. Number 8, Mr. Speaker, we are also committed to ensure that we have more active participation in regional and global bodies of Public Account Committee. Very recently, Mr. Speaker approved that some part of the leadership of this committee attend an event in South Africa. And the whole of Africa is looking up to Nigeria. In fact, the whole West African bloc came to meet the Nigerian delegate and said, where are you? Without Nigeria, they can hardly do anything. Unfortunately, we have not been able to actively participate in the activities of these bodies. And we are determined in the 10th Assembly with the support of the leadership of the House to ensure that our participation in the West African Public Account Committee, the Southern African Committee on the Direction of Public Account, the African Direction of Public Account Committee, and the Commonwealth Public Account Committee, that our participations are activated and sustained. Now, this next information is useful not only for us, but of course for the government agencies that will be engaging with. As a committee, We also decided that we'll have the following hearing days on Monday through Friday, the following activities. On Mondays, 12 noon to 5 p.m. On Tuesdays, 2 to 5 p.m. Wednesdays, 2 to 5. Thursdays, same thing. And then we decided that we're going to be leaving Friday because one of the challenges that we discovered why most of this report don't actually get far in terms of plenary consideration is that if we use every day of the week for the hearing, the secretariat, which have the duty of covering, our hearings, also have the assignment of preparing those reports. Then they barely have no time to even sit down and prepare the report of whatever we do every week. And unless it becomes compulsory, we have decided that we're going to leave Friday for the secretariat to be able to do their writing of reports for onward transmission to the House plenary. We're going to be having quarterly oversight and project audit activities, study exchange and capacity building programs, and we're bringing that up an innovation, Mr. Speaker, also that every year we should have a public accounts conference at the end of every year, where we'll be able to review the activities of the Public Account Committee the preceding year and have all stakeholders, just as we have here, even in the bigger level, come together to discuss and then plan for the coming year. Also, we are committed to ensuring that we work harder on staff training, development, and welfare. We'll be bringing a lot of requests to you, Mr. Speaker. I was in a meeting with the Public Account Committee department staff very recently, and they told me it is one of the committees that closed very late in the National Assembly. There are times that our staff are still in the office at 9 and 10 p.m. Yet they do not have a staff bus. Maybe the Accountant will donate one for them. So, you can imagine, I know she has the capacity. You can imagine working till 10 p.m. and you are going to Cameroon and all the other places, and then, how do you move? So we want to really prioritize the welfare of our staff in the Public Account Department of the National Assembly in a manner that will make them happy doing the job and more productive. I've spoken about our collaboration with NGOs, local and international society bodies, and other relevant committees of the House. Our expected outcomes, Your Excellencies, is to have a 100% review of public account with a focus on high-risk areas, ensure compliance of MDAs with the provisions of the Appropriation Act, Financial Regulation, the Procurement Act, Fiscal Regulatory Act, and other extant financial laws and regulations. We're going to be ensuring that we have published reports which will detail our findings after such findings have been considered by the House and resolutions passed on them. And of course, ensure that we work together with other stakeholders to strengthen the office of the General Federation, the office of the Accountant General Federation, and other relevant offices that will make this job easier and have Nigerians have value for entrusting their mandate on us. Feedback mechanisms. If you go online today and you want to see what is happening in the Public Account Committee of Canada, you will find mediums. You will find the YouTube and other mediums through which you can see what happened in the Public Account Committee of the Parliament of Canada in 2007. You can try that for South Africa, India, Ghana. You can find it. Unfortunately, we don't have that, and we believe that we should start off. And the first thing we have done is to create the website www.pac.ng, which I will already inform has started right after this morning. Ensure that we have YouTube channel and other social media platforms where our activities can be followed by stakeholders and the public, who will also be able to provide us with feedback on those things that we need to do and how we can do them better. So, Your Excellency, I want to thank you for the opportunity of presenting this as a roadmap. Of course, it is a work in progress, and as we commence our activities, some of these things will continue to improve upon them. But we want to assure you, on behalf of the Deputy Chairman and all my leaders and members of this committee, that we're going to work in a manner that at the end of these 4 years of membership, it will be said of us that we came and we improved on the work of the Public Account Committee.
It's really not loud enough for that presentation. Thank you so very much. The Chairman, House Committee on Public Accounts. So many issues there, and these things are actually achievable. They are achievable. They are achievable. It's talking about something smarter, like a smart city. Smarter and faster. Before now, people have this funny impression about, Ghana must go. They don't know what they take to National Assembly. They have to go to bring file, and they bring 32 Ghana must go. And all those things are documents. But for the ordinary eye, what he sees is money. Say they have taken 32 Ghana must go to public accounts. It's really not easy, but considering the fact that, this is an item on the strategic document is really, really important, because all you need to do is, practically everything is online now, and that's what he has said. But one thing that actually got me thinking is for somebody up there to think about somebody down there. We're talking about welfare. This is something that people don't do. If you consider the welfare of the people that work with you, your security man, your cook, yeah, that's true. You'll be serving yourself. You'll be serving yourself. Your guard, your security man, your cook, your driver will take, we don't really take note of these things. But here is a chairman who is thinking about people who work with him, and he's thinking that, and I hope that the Accountant General actually took note of that. And I hope that, yes, for the boss, yes, for the boss. That is a support, it's a support. So.
Yeah, so as a sidebar, if we put down some of the things in that presentation, when Unveiling is having this speech,
why is that so
said that
okay,
is it better now? Okay, sorry, pardon me. All right, so Honorable Unveiling said that public funds, that they want to ensure that public funds are spent in lawful, prudent, and accountable manner for the good of the Nigerian people. He also said that when there are no consequences, that we have set a template, for continuation, for continuity, and that's really profound if you ask me. And I also heard, I wrote it down as a sidebar, that there must be consequences for impunity. Yeah, so thank you very much, Honorable Bande. We wish the committee resounding success, 4 years of hard work. We are very optimistic that something good will come out of this. We're very, very optimistic.
Yes, indeed. And, we are almost coming to the end of this first session of the program. But again, this is the high point. He's been described as knowledgeable, a team player, and very cerebral. Now, these are very, very important adjectives to qualify somebody who is in the hall with us. Cerebral, knowledgeable, and a team player. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me say this one for you.
Okay, with all pleasure. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great privilege to bring up here the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, to give us his keynote address. Can we please welcome him warmly as he makes his way up here? As Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives.
what up? Hey, don't pause it up. And then,
Thank you very much. The leadership of the 10th House of Representatives here present, the presence of the Deputy Majority Leader of the House, Deputy Minority Leader of the House, Deputy Minority Whip of the House. Let me also recognize the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives and your Deputy. Honorable colleagues and members of the Committee of Public Accounts, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, ably represented by Director of Economic Research and Policy Management, Mrs. Margaret Wodner, the Accountant General, my sister, Mrs. Sakura Made, Director overseeing Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, Mr. Andrew Omudole, Executive Director of Africa Development Studies Center, Ambassador Victor Oluwafemi, my dear distinguished resource persons, members of the civil society organizations, invited guests, not forgetting the Secretariat of the Park Committee, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who is currently on his way from India, where he went to represent our great country, among other super parliamentarians around the world. And I must report that he made Nigeria proud while in India. I'm pleased to be here today at the Unveiling and Leadership Training of the members of the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives. The park is one of the most important committees of the House, and its importance is underscored by its express creation by Section 85, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. This section states that the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly shall examine the audited accounts of government, showing the appropriation of the sums granted by the House to meet public expenditure, and any report made by the Auditor General of the Federation concerning such accounts. In the 10th Assembly, the Public Account Committee is committed to deepening its engagement with the executive arm of government to ensure that ministries, departments, agencies of government uphold the principles of accountability, principles of transparency, and prudence in the management of public funds, or if you like, public finance. The PAC is also committed to strengthening the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation in line with the best global practices. Like having mentioned here, the recent passage of the Federal Audit Bill to repeal the 1956 Audit Ordinance is in line with these commitments. Beyond the passage of this bill are other commitments. Like they just rightly mentioned by the chairman of the committee, effort is being made towards having a tribunal that will be set up to monitor the implementation. It's good to audit, but it's also good to find out what we did after the audit. So in no distance time, the progression of that bill moved from second reading to third reading with the operation of the House. Also, it is important to note that the National Assembly is interested and committed to the Office of the Deputy General, and that help us to discover that the resources available to this office, if we must speak the truth to power, is not sufficient to get the job done. A situation where 5 billion is committed to record, 2 billion to capital, them to audit a budget of 21 trillion in any global practices is not sufficient. What is at least adequate for that job to be done fully well is at least 1% of the total budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In that case, we're talking about 218 billion. That is what that office needs, if they must do the job and do it very well. And we are committed, and the people with the power of the purse, to review the budget of the Auditor General's office, unless we don't want the 900 MDAs to be well audited. Like the civil society organization have mentioned, most of these MDAs, we are not touched, not because the political will to get them touched transparently to reveal how credible they have been in their budget performance. It's not there, or was not there. The issue has been lack of adequate resources. How do you explain the Auditor General's office having a grade level 8 staff? You know, within the borders, in the whole federation, about 1,300 employees for the whole nation. It's not sufficient. They came down from 2,000 employees to 1,300. If they must get the job done, at least let's push them back to 2,000 employees so that all these MDAs will be well covered. There's no magic around this. If we want them to do the job, we should not make them magicians. We should equip them sufficiently to pursue the money of Nigeria so that the work of the National Assembly will be easy. Talking about the work of the National Assembly and how easy it's supposed to be. I had the chairman, very cerebral chairman, and just let me mention, the chairman, you've made us proud, you've confirmed to us we did not make a mistake by making you the chairman of this all-important committee. Very sound road map that will guide you for the next 4 years. And I'm sure other committees of the House, because we carefully selected the leadership, will also deliver just like you have done. But I heard you mention technology, and we totally agree with you. In our last leadership conference at Ecotech, both the President of the Senate, the Speaker, my principal, and all the principal officers, we agreed that it was about time that this mandate of the Constitution with regards to oversight the executive, the other arms of government, be done with the introduction of technology. Because technology will help us become more transparent, to document better, and to also make the result that is coming out from our exercise more credible. And it was part of our resolution during that conversation. You know, it was part of the provisions in our communique that our oversight function is going to make use of technology. So in no distant time, expect the launching and the unveiling of what we call NASS Eyes. NASS Eyes will be there to watch all the expenditure of government in all arms of government. so that the era of carrying those big bags of paperwork and coming to suffer members of National Assembly to stay up to 9 o'clock at night, and yet Nigerians will say they are doing nothing, that era will be in the past. To do this, also the collaboration of the executive the need for it cannot be overstated. We need, though we believe that we are three arms of government, we are convinced that though we are three arms of government, we are one government, pursuing one national objective, the objective of the renewed hope, where revenues, we chase them, and also expenditure, we make sure we block all the leakages as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The BSC's mandate is very broad and expansive. It covers all aspects of government, finance, including the collection, expenditure, and accounting of public funds. The BSC also has the power to investigate any financial irregularities, regardless of where they occur in government. To understand this vital role, it is quite auspicious that BSC members are trained to exercise their function diligently, without any let or hindrance. It is my hope that this unveiling will retool you to this call to duty for the taxpayer. You cannot afford to fail. I must commend you. You are starting very well. The speaker is so impressed, and also mandated that I must be here in person, not delegating another person. You have started very, very well. And it goes to show that the legislative agenda of the 10th Assembly, which the chairman is well seated here, is well represented here, is in line with this credibility and transparency that is found in open governance. And today, you have become one of the committees in the House to show the right step forward. We congratulate you. In conclusion, let me mention that I have the chairman request that the Office of the Accountant General make provision for a boss that will help the committees do their job. In as much as I'm not aware why you are clapping, we want to maintain that in the spirit of the doctrine of separation of power and the need to be thorough in the exercise of our duty, we will not be accepting that gift of a boss. In the spirit of the doctrine of separation of power and the need for us to be thorough in investigating the work done by the Accountant General's office, we will be saying no to that gift. Rather, we will be making the Nigerians should expect that the House of Representatives, the Senate, will make sufficient budget that will be enough to make the provision for the committees such as yours. We will make enough budget that will enable us do a job that will be credible, that will be without bias. The work of the PSC is complemented by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. It is in this light that the Auditor General's office needs to be occupied. The appointment should be in place because it is a requirement of the Constitution. I am joining my voice to that of my brother, the chairman of the committee. We cannot afford to have an acting director, overseeing director, or in whatever nomenclature he is described, to occupy that all-important position. This is a call to Mr. President to look into confirming the person who is there now, or anybody of his choice, to take up the role of the general of this country. It will send the right signal out that this government is really ready to pursue taxpayers' money. I am confident that the BSC will be vital in helping the 10th Assembly achieve its goals of ensuring transparency, accountability, and good governance in Nigeria. It is my pleasure to unveil this program, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so very much. Can we give him another round of applause? Yes, we actually do not expect less from the top echelon of the Federal House of Representatives. He has said it, and by the special grace of God, it will be done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So many takeaways from, what he has said. So many, and very, very important. But one thing that, the chairman of PAC and members should be very, very happy about is the fact that you are doing well. You are doing well. And another thing again is that, your committee is the base that determines the superstructure, so to speak. Because from what you have done, you have raised the bar. That is it. A strategic document is a working document. It is a guide. And that is what you have done. So you are doing very, very well. But again, the Right Honorable Speaker did mention that, the members of the committee of the 10th Assembly were carefully selected. That they were carefully selected. It has nothing to do with, man to man. What they did was to ensure that you are good in this field and you are there. Due diligence was actually considered, and it has nothing to do with, political patronage. You are good, and you have demonstrated that. You and your committee have demonstrated that. Can we give him another round of applause? Nice. Thinking, sure you want to talk about a few things.
Okay, so forward from here, we want to recognize the presence of Honorable Clement Jimbo, who is here with us today. Can we please give him a warm welcome, Honorable Clement Jimbo? That's him over there. Thank you very much for being here. Before we go to the vote of thanks, we'll shortly be breaking into the training session. But let me be careful. Let me quickly introduce the facilitators and speakers at the training session. Before we go to the occupiers, so let's invite the Deputy Chairman of PAC, Honorable Jeremiah Obaru, to give the vote of thanks, after which we'll introduce members of the training session, facilitators, and the speakers. Please put your hands together for Honorable Jeremiah Obaru.
The Right Honorable Speaker, ably represented by the House Majority Leader Deputy, the House Deputy Minority Leader, the House Deputy Chief Whip, of course, my able chairman, and members of this very important committee. The representative of the Minister of Finance, Accountant General herself, the #1 accountant in Nigeria, Mama Account, the Director of overseeing the Office for the Auditor General of the Federation, other invited guests, gentlemen of the press, members of PAC committee and the secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, on behalf of the chairman and members of this very important committee, say thank you to Mr. Speaker and the leadership of the House for first identifying, selecting, and approving these great men and women to be part of this committee. They are great people because of their various backgrounds and experiences. I want to thank you and want to assure you that this committee will make the 10th National Assembly House of Reps very proud. While we are entrusted with this great task, I want to call on our members to know that the office of the Auditor General for the Federation reports directly to the public, to the National Assembly, to the Public Accounts Committee. And that is why it is called Office of the Auditor General for the Federation, not of the Federation. Therefore, the task, the vast majority of Nigerians are looking up to us. We must deliver. And that is why the committee presented a very good and logical roadmap that we're going to achieve. So we assure the Nigerian public that the committee will do justice to ensure prudent and effective management of public funds. We want to thank our partners for the support, most especially the African Development Studies Center for the support and ensuring that this unveiling is done today. On behalf of, again, the committee, I want to say thank you to all of you, and thank you for coming, thank you for honoring our invitations, and we'll continue to partner, we'll continue to do you proud, and we'll continue to make Nigeria proud. I want to also join voices in appealing to the President to appoint a substantive Auditor General for the Federation to ensure a smooth running of this committee and to ensure prudence management of public funds. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so very much. And so that's about wrap this first session of this all-important program. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, will do two items on this program. One will take group photograph and then, of course, the national anthem. But let's start with the national anthem. Can we be upstanding for the